Untuk selanjutnya itu kita beri BNS discount and company value on company palm oil production. Untuk waktu dipersilakan jadi sebelum kita 04 ya Pak.
Thank you, moderator, reviewer, and every participant in this payroll sessions in this opportunity. I'm Ika Berti Apriliani from Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa with other three authors. Will present you our research with the topic corporate social responsibility disclosure and company value on the company palm oil in Indonesia. Going to introduction, the research background is creating value. It's the goal of the company today has been defined under various conditions. CSR activity are contained in the company CSR disclosure, the company size or firm size and sales growth. The introductions one, CSR and performance with contradictory result. The research results state that the CSR affect the value of the company is this author, and there is no influence of the CSR's and value is this author. Next, the firm size and performance with contradictory results. The results of the study that conclude there was an effect from the firms on the firm value is this author, and in contrast to the results which state there is no significant impact was this author's. For the sales growth and the performance with contradictory result, the research concludes that sales has a significant positive impact on the firm value is this author, and then he concludes that the property and the real estate sector. And for the others, they found no significant positive impact on sales value of the company study of the manufacturing company. What's the problem in palm oil company? The reason of the European Union try to reject special from Indonesia is because they are not environmentally friendly, then namely being developed with high rates of the deforestation every year without regard to environmental sustainability. And this means that the national oil palm companies have been accused not maximizing CSR's program. The territory review was theory signaling, persuasive theory, company value, CSR disclosure, company size, and sales growth. Framework. This was the framework that used in this research. We go to the hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, CSR disclosure has an effect to score company. Hypothesis 2, firm size has an effect to score company. Hypothesis 3, sales growth has an effect to score company. Hypothesis 4, simultaneously, the 3 variable has an effect on the core company. Identification of the variable operational, we use corporation value using the token key as a dependent variable. CSRD, the company's CSR report, corporate 6 aspect, and the firm size. The size of the company in the studies means the size of the company can be seen from the total asset as reported in the company annual report. Sales growth, the ratio that reflects performance-wise in sales each year. The data types and data sources, we use data quantitative and data source secondary. The data on annual reports of palm oil listed company on the IDX in the periods of 2016 and 2000 until 2019 in the IDX official websites available in their official website or the official website for each company. That's the collection method with the documentations. The research object is a palm oil company listed on the IDX for the period of 2016 until 2019 that have met the objective criteria study. Population and sampling. The populations have 21 companies that was engaged with the listed in IDX, and the sampling is a company engaged in the IDX for the period for the same period that have met the base criteria. It was a 14 company, and the data collection technique is the proposed sampling. The criteria one was a company engaged in the palm oil sector listed in the IDX 2016 and 2019. Criteria two, palm oil company issuing annual report stating in 2018, 19, and 20. The total was 14 samples. Sampling, this was the code and the company's name. For the data analysis classic assumption test result, for the normality test, the data, as we can see here from the picture, it's shown that the diagonal patterns, which mean that with normal distributions. The data analyzes classes assumptions with the scatter plot. It's also, there is no heterogeneity in this regression model. And for the autocoloration, it would conclude there's no extension. And also for the autocolorations, for the multicollinearity, there are no symptoms also for the multicollinearity. This was because from the value that we got here, they were greater than 0.1 and the IV value is lesser than 10, so it concluded no symptoms. The multiple linear regression test result. If the regression coefficient's value is positive, if the variable independent increase, it will be followed by an increase in the variable dependent. If the regression coefficient value is negative, if the independent variable increase, then the dependent variable will decrease. Hypothesis testing. So from the testing, we got the hypothesis one that have an influence. The basis of decision-making test if the significant value is smaller than 0.005 and the t-count is bigger than t-table, then the proposed hypothesis is accepted. And the hypothesis one is accepted or influence. Hypothesis two, there's no influence. For hypothesis three, there's an influence. As for the hypothesis four, the hypothesis was accepted. Determinant test. The value of the determinant coefficient is 45.6%. This is shown the percentage of the contributions of the influence in the independent variable is 45.6, while the remaining is explained by other variable not included or explained in the study. Discussions. Hypothesis one, it's accepted. Companies that realize the importance of the CSRD will reap a good impact and increasing reputation of the company and the trust of the surrounding community, consumers and investors in the company's performance will have a good impact on the company's sales, which is ultimately increase the value of the company. The Wood Harris survey 2001 showed that the majority of the consumer would leave a product that had a bad image or was reportedly negative. As a result, there is a view value implement CSRD will because allow value of the company. This can be interpreted as the better implications of the CSRD by the company. The value company will increase. For the hypothesis two is rejected or has no effect. The results of this study are consistent with the research conducted by Gautam and Vijaya. This because the investors buy shares of a company not only in terms of how big the company assets, but also in terms of financial statement, good name or reputations, and also dividend policy. The result of previous study are different from the Result of this study were based research conducted by Ernawati and Widyawati and Prasetyo Ruchini. The result analysis is positive and significant because the size of the company describes the size of the company, which be assessed from the value of the total asset for company. Large company sizes find it easier to enter capital market because investors catch a positive signal for the company that have large growth. So that positive response reflects the increasing value of the company. Results that supporting this research, namely this authors, that size company now affect the score company, whereas the result that doesn't support this result is namely that size company firm size has influenced positive significant to score company. Hypothesis 3 is accepted with compromise growth out from here. Then the company could develop the company by optimizing the sources available. But based on theory, signal actions taken by company could give information as well as an overview for investor and how future perspectives of the company. Things is in line with the research conducted by this author. Growth, sales take effect to score company. The fourth hypothesis is influence of the CSRD, sales groups and company on the company value. It's accepted. This means CSRD's disclosure company size and sales growth together or simultaneously can affect and increase company value. So the conclusions, CSRD is influential and significant to score the company on company coconut, IDX, listed palm oil from 2016 and 2019 till 2019. The size company, firm size has no take effect to score the company on the same criteria. The growth sales take effect significantly to score the company. CSRD, size company, and sales growth take an effect to score the company. That's our presentation. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kami persilakan Ibu Yeni Januarsi yang akan menyampaikan tentang policy and strategy and manager choice to switch off between earning management strategies with for in capital market.
Oh, bisa. Coba pakai ini. Saya nanti dengan filenya dari sini. Kalau dari sebelah sini aja Bu, boleh. Saya tinggal ngomong,
it is about the economic uncertainty and the manager choices to switch off between a risk management strategy. This is evidence from Indonesia capital market. I am Neni Januarsi and I'm single author for this paper. Next. Okay. So I'm going to discuss this paper using this outline. Next. Let's start with the background. So based on my prior literature review investigation, the prior study on the economic policy uncertainty, next I will call it EPU, earnings management. It has several limitations. One of them is that the earnings management literature address the accrual earnings management and address the investigation on the developed market. Another limitation is that the prior study is silent about how the EPU can affect the switch off of earnings management. And also the prior study do not count the COVID-19 as the EPU's alternative measurement and link this issue with the switch off effect of earnings management. And also it is common phenomena that empirical research has a mixed evidence documented in the literature. So this limitation lead me to investigate on how the EPU can cause managers switch off between earnings management strategy. Next. So this is one of the interesting topic in this earnings management literature switch off that in the literature there are two hypotheses. One hypothesis posits that we call it substitute hypothesis. It suggests that the EPU can mitigate the accrual earnings management, but however, in the other side, it can encourage a manager to engage the real earnings management. The other hypothesis address that it called the complement hypothesis. It addressed that the EPU can encourage both of the earnings management. I myself do not know which one will support in this Indonesian capital market. So that is why I next slide. I try to conduct this empirical research with the purpose. I attempt to investigate whether the higher EPU can reduce manager to engage earnings management, and whether it may increase the real earnings management. And in addition, I need to confirm which hypothesis will support in this study, whether it is the substitute or it is the complementary. Next. So this is a brief literature of economic policy uncertainty from the Tekeb et al. In 2020. They suggest definition. But EPU, it generally refers to the possibility that unexpected shift in the economy will prompt authorities to shift their policy. Similar definition also suggested by Jiang and Jafar in 2017. Regarding the prior study on EPU, it has documented that if you have several negative effect on business, as for example, Ma and Hao in 2002 find that the EPU caused a significant increase in firms' financial constraint. Again, similar with other study. As for example, EPU can also find as one of the process factor, and it can reduce the business investment. Next. And this is the prior literature of earnings management switch off. If we see this table, we can see that there are two opposite groups that support the hypothesis. One group support the substitute view and one group support the complementary view. This is why in this study I need to confirm which one will be claimed about the earnest management without because of the APU. Next. Moving on to the hypothesis development, I propose two hypotheses. The first hypothesis suggests that the greater APU can reduce the equivalence management, at least due to this reason. First is that the logic is that during the APU, the stakeholder and investor required more disclosure, and it can reduce the information asymmetry. Because of the reduced information asymmetry, then the manager will be less likely to rely on equivalence management. And the second reason is that actual is subject of the thought and regulation function. So it makes the manager will be less likely also to conduct the equivalence management. That is why in the first hypothesis, I state that the greater EPU can reduce the equivalence management. Next slide. And the second hypothesis, it will be the contrary because I suggest that greater financial it should be greater EPU can increase the area earnings management. That's the second hypothesis. Next slide. Moving on to the research design, I use the sample from the all listed publicly listed firm in Indonesian Stock Exchange between 2012 and 2020, and I can gather for about 1,800 firms with observation from the 200 listed firms. Next. And this is the variable measurement for the EPU. For the baseline result, I use the what we call word uncertainty index, and I use the median value of word index, and then for the robustness I use the average index, and I also include the COVID-19 as a measurement for the economic uncertainty variable. For the equivalence management, I follow the Desa model, and for the REL, I use the Calcodori et al. Model. Next slide, please. And this is for the the specification. The third equation will be used for the second hypothesis, while for the fourth equation will be used for examining the first hypothesis. I also include several control variables, and also I also include the years and firms to overcome the heterogeneity from years and firms heterogeneity. Next slide. And this is the business result. I have two columns. Column 1, we will perform the result for the second hypothesis. Column 2 for the first hypothesis. As you can see in these two columns, with the red line, for the first column, it has a positive coefficient and significant, while in the column 2 it has a negative coefficient. So basically, this result suggests that both of the hypotheses supported in this study. Next. And for the additional analysis, I performed two kind of additional analysis. For the additional analysis, I divide the first sample become high and low leverage firm, and for the second additional analysis, I divide the subsample become income increasing firm and income decreasing firm. And the result also perform the baseline model. Next. And this is the outcome from the statistical result for the additional test, as I mentioned previously. Next. And for the robustness test,
I perform four tests. First, I use the alternative measurement of quality management, and second, I use the alternative for the measurement for the EPU. I use the average value in the common average, and for the third robustness test, I use the alternative measurement for the REX, and the fourth, I use the GPU as I use the direct value. So I use one year before, the baseline value and the result also conforms our baseline model. Next slide. Next slide, this is for the statistical test of the test of the participant. Next, this is model for and as you can see, all the populations test come from the baseline model. Next. So we come up
Ini nggak kedengeran suara untuk ini apa mikrofonnya kalau
okay. For the conclusion, I did this study purpose for comparison at least for one because the comparison and the area and then so it's a just that farming is more real than uploading to the under the five economic and developing condition. And the second conclusion is that this study for farming. As I mentioned, there are expensive, but this money and for expensive for the market. The conclusion is that for the conditional time. I have found that the person more likely to receive some responsibility in the lower income and it also quite and the fourth is idea but not quite any for the
maaf Bu Yeni sudah 10 menit langsung.
I have added for the question next. This is for the link. Thank you.
Thank you. Untuk selanjutnya itu Salman. Directing of the in the direction of the unity, measuring and sales growth on financial instruments.
Iya Pak, sebentar.
So to make our result robust, also we could
Jadi setelah Ibu Salma, sekarang ini mau dipersiapkan Pak Gubri Ibu Dia.
to supply and demand and market, this makes important goods and preparation for domestic consumer and commercial.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Salma.
The current account deficit due to increase of and then
From Management Department Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. This paper title is Moderating Role of Profitability in the Interaction of Liquidity and Leverage and Sales Growth on Financial Distress. And this is what my research has been looking at.
Trade openness and inflation have a negative balance. And then in this study, we conclude that we find the evidence that the appreciation would improve the current account balance, and then growth and PI potentially affect current account, while trade openness and inflation have a
Bisa share screen nggak Pak? Dari sini.
So the suggestion for the study. That's the government itself did extend the countries that maintain the agreement. When current quantitative and success positive intellectual leadership. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Ya, silakan.
Ya. Langsung ke yang pertama. langsung ke yang pertama, Mas. Maaf. Ya, lagi. Next. Yeah. Okay. The economy in the era of globalization now has significant progress, so that making the business competition even more incredible. And next, financial condition unstable. This financial condition can be seen from the financial statement that can be analyzed from the financial ratio, and if there are problems with the financial ratio, which can be financial distress. Suaranya kedengeran nggak? Suaranya kedengeran nggak? Financial distress is a condition of a business experience an economic decline before going bankrupt. Financial distress can be analyzed using the Altman Z-score method designed by Altman in 1968. From data processing based on the Z-score method formula, the Z-score result in the coal mining subsector from 2012 until 2021 show a value below 2.99, but companies that are truly safe from financial distress must have a Z-score above 2.99. It means that the company in the coal mining subsector has financial distress. In this study, the financial ratio used as independent variable are liquidity, leverage, and sales growth. However, the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable is still a gap from previous research. Because there is still a gap, an empirical model was built to overcome the influence gap between the independent and the dependent variable using profitability as a moderating variable. There is a variable that can strengthen or weaken the influence between the grand theory. The grand theory in this research is agency theory. This theory was created by Michael C. Jensen and William H. McLean in 1976. Agency theory is defined as a theory that explains the agency relationship. In this theory, the agent is the manager who represents the principal in transaction with third parties, while the principal is the investor or creditor who gives the mandate to the agent. Therefore, the control of the company will be held by the agent, which means that the company's activities will be carried out by the agent. If the agent cannot manage finances properly, financial distress will arise. Next. And the hypothesis development is the higher liquidity, the higher financial distress or Z-score, the higher leverage, the lower financial distress or Z-score, the higher sales growth, the higher financial distress or Z-score. Profitability weaken the effect of liquidity on financial distress. Profitability weaken the effect of leverage on financial distress. Profitability weaken the effect of sales growth on financial distress. And the third one is research method and result. A type of research is causal, associative, and quantitative. Type of data is secondary, and data resources from financial statement on IDX. The population is 22 listing coal mining companies period 2012 until 2021, and the sample is 11 companies with proposed sampling technique. The analysis technique is descriptive statistic, classical assumption, and moderated regression analysis. There are 4 types of moderation. There is pure moderation, quasi-moderation, moderating predictor, and moderating homologist. Then the result of a descriptive statistical test. The minimum and maximum value in the table are the value of several coal companies in the 10-year observation period. And if the mean value is greater than the standard deviation, it indicates the small deviation of the data or fluctuation in the variable data during the observation period. And the classical assumption test show whether or not the regression equation has accuracy in the estimation. Based on the result, the regression equation in this study has met the rules of this classical assumption test according to the book Ghazali 2018. So the regression equation or distribution data is allowed to be investigated further. After classical assumption done, we have to test moderated regression analysis to get the result. In this table, we can find out that the relationship between liquidity and financial distress is a significant positive. So hypothesis 1 is accepted. High liquidity can increase the company's Z-score value so that the company can avoid financial distress. The second one is leverage and financial distress is a significant negative. So hypothesis 2 is accepted. High leverage can reduce the value of the company's Z-score. It can bring the company into financial distress. Next. Third, sales growth and financial distress are insignificant negatives. So hypothesis 3 is rejected. High sales growth cannot significantly increase the company's Z-score due to high operating expenses, so it cannot determine whether the company can avoid financial distress. Then profitability can weaken the effect of liquidity on financial distress, so the fourth hypothesis is accepted. Obtaining a profit can improve the value of liquidity so that it can reduce the company's chances of being exposed to financial distress. Moreover, the type is quasi-moderation because the profitability is significant and the interaction variable is also significant. Next, profitability can weaken the effect of leverage on financial distress. So the fifth hypothesis is accepted. Obtaining a profit can reduce the value of leverage, reducing the company's chances of being exposed to financial distress. Moreover, the type is quasi-moderation because the profitability is significant and the interaction variable is also significant. Moreover, profitability cannot weaken the effect of sales growth on financial distress. So the fifth hypothesis is rejected because there is a high operating expenses. Profit cannot improve the sales growth, so it cannot reduce the company's chances of getting financial distress. And the type is moderating predictor because the profitability is significant and the interaction variable is not significant. And the last one is conclusion and implication. The conclusion is liquidity has a significant positive effect on financial distress. Leverage has a significant negative effect on financial distress. Sales growth has insignificant negative effect on financial distress. Profitability weaken effect of liquidity on financial distress with quasi-moderation type. Profitability weaken the effect of leverage on financial distress with quasi-moderation type. And profitability cannot moderate the effect of sales growth on financial distress with predictor moderation type. Next. And the last one is implication. Theoretical implication is based on the result. Liquidity and leverage have a significant influence with positive and negative direction. And profitability, which is ability to moderate. This show that the result of this study strengthen or further confirm the agency theory in determining the company's financial condition, where the agent as the holder of control over the companies plays an important role in managing the company's finances. And the managerial implication is agent can pay more attention to the use or management of asset, debt, and profits, especially in coal companies. So there is no financial distress in the company, and it can also be used as consideration for inventors in analyzing and choosing to invest in the right company. Based on the result, inventors can pay more attention to the asset, debt, and profits owned by the company, especially if they want to invest in coal companies, so that inventors can minimize risk and optimize profits. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your great attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
8.
NC 008 Pak Dudul Indria.
Langsung mulai. Cek. Udah, HP mati. Iya, saya Pak. Iya. Cek. Masih Pak. Cek. Masih nggak? Cek. Cek. Kedengaran ya? Cek. Cek. Udah bisa tuh Pak? Cek, udah. Masih Pak. Oh iya. Udah. Cek. Masih Pak.
Kalau sudah bisa dimulai Pak Menteri.
Suaranya udah jelas Pak. Suara saya kedengaran Pak.
Sudah. Oke, sudah.
Dengaran Pak.
Ya, saling mulai Pak.
Ya, udah kedengaran Pak. Ini udah mati. Langsung. Okay, thank you. My name is Jibril Hijriah from Department of Management, Faculty of Economy, Business, Sultan Ageng Tirta. And here I'm world presentation of the paper. The title, Effect of Raw Material Inventory, Worker Quantity, and the Capacity of Machine on the Volume of the Production. First introduction, PT Cahaya Modern Metal Industry often experiences instability due to laterite nickel or raw material originating from Sulawesi, which take a long time to ship due to sea transportation. And this is also a challenge for a company in managing inventory and raw material in the company. The machine used the PT Modern Cahaya Modern Metal Industry use machine with a blast furnace system where the main raw material are laterite nickel or aluminate and separate from within the country limestone cooking coal with nickel or and rotary dryer. After drying and mixed with the cook, the fine powder and limestone are fit into sintering machine, which heated using exhaust gas from the blast furnace. The lump of the come out the sintering machine is called sinter and put into blast furnace along with a cook in its sinter undergoes drying, heating, or reduction, as well melting from produced NPI as a slag or slag. The engine capacity target by PT Cahaya Modern Metal Industry is 5,000 kWh, but in reality, the engine capacity produced by company is still far from the target set by company. Based on data on the research, have collected the following is data on the fulfillment of the production target of the type of nickel pig iron during 2091 PT Cahaya Modern Metal Industry. Literature review. Raw material are the material that make up large part of the finished product. Raw material processed in the manufacturing company can be obtained from the local purchase, import on the result of their own. Amount of work, a labor is less than will work inside of or outside a working relation with the main production tool in the production process, but physically, mentally, by Hamzah. A capacity is a breakthrough or number of units in the with a facility in a store, receive or produce within a certain period of time. So the capacity is the store, receive, and the produce within a certain by Hazer and Render. Production per volume is a production achievement that can be expensive a quantity determined in terms of the volume and a physical. The hypothesis. Hypothesis 1 is raw material inventory take effect positive and significant to the volume production. Hypothesis 2, worker quantity take effect positive and significant to volume production. Hypothesis 3, capacity machine take effect positive and significant to volume production. Hypothesis 4 is raw material inventory, worker quantity, and capacity machine take effect positive and significant to volume production. Method study. Type study is quantitative with approach associative causal. Population and sample. Population study is data is obtained from a PT Cahaya Modern Metal Industry, which are about raw material inventory, worker quantity, capacity machine, and volume production. And sample technique sampling is purposive sampling with fulfill criteria. Method collecting data, field research, sort data PT Cahaya Modern Metal Industry. Technique analysis data is test assumption classic and test analysis linear multiple. Tool test study is IBM SPSS software version 25. Classic assumption is normality test. The result of the normality test is seen from the picture above, so that the data is normally distributed. That can be concluded from the curve pattern that does not deviate to the left or right, and the data appear to spread out following the diagonal line or histogram. According the multicollinearity test is following table. There is no multicollinearity in the regression equation model, as the tolerance value of each variable is large than 0.10 and the FIF variable is greater than 10. The tolerance value is of the variable amount of raw material inventory is 0.5856 greater than 0.10, and the fifth value variable amount of raw material inventory is 1.156, indicating that the fifth value less than 10. The tolerance value of the variable amount labor is 0.672 greater than 0.10, and the fifth value of the variable amount of labor is 1.029, indicating that the fifth value is less than 10. And the tolerance value of the variable engine capacity is 0.883 greater than 0.10. Heteroscedasticity test. Based on the above table, it can be concluded that there is no heteroscedasticity in the regression equation model, as its a variable p-value is greater than 0.05. For example, for the p-value, a variable amount of raw material inventory is 0.657 greater than 0.05, and the p-value of machine capacity is 0.648 greater than 0.05. Autocorrelation test is according the prediction table, the Darwin-Watson number is 1.4694. In the Darwin-Watson table, the upper limit value is and the lower limit value is the 1.3166, and given that the sample size is a 43 and the total number of dividend of the independent variable k is a 4 and a significancy level of 5% on the basis of foregoing autocorrelation test with a DW value of the 1.4. It can be started at the value is indicating there is no autocorrelation in the model. Multiple linear regression analysis based on the table so-called concrete equality analysis regression multiple as a following is y a volume production, x1 amount supply in ingredient raw, x2 amount power work, x3 in capacity machine. Hypothesis test t-test is based on the table on criteria on level with 5% square table for the f and k min 1 43 min 4 is 38, where the f degree of the freedom, degree free, and the amount of a variable independent. Simulation statistic test, the above table revealed that the calculated value 23.650, however, of the table with the test criteria and concluded at level of a 5% with a f table value is 2.82, leading for the following conclusion. Based on the result of simultaneous testing, the amount of raw material inventory, the number of worker and capacity, and the machine production volume obtained of the F count, F table, it can be concluded that in the study, H4 is accepted. Coefficient of determination test, R2. According to the table, the coefficient of determination of 0.645 indicated that 35% of the variation of the amount raw material inventory, number of worker, and machine capacity can explain variation produced volume can be attributed to other variables that were not examined. In other words, there is still production volume input such as capital chemical information and technology which can explain production volume variance. A conclusion. Raw material inventory by partial take effect by significant volume production, worker quantity by partial take effect by significant volume production, capacity machine by partial take effect by significant volume production, and the result test F showing by simultan of together the raw material inventory, worker quantity, and capacity machine by simultan take effect significant to volume production. And this, thank you.
Thank you. Untuk selanjutnya, Ibu Martina Winarstuti. The effect of trust and commitment to the prosperity supply chain performance mediated by information sharing. Untuk Ibu Martina Winarstuti, waktu dipersilakan dimulai dari sekarang.
Cek. Yang mana? Suara saya terdengar nggak? Cek.
Terdengar.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, all participants ICOSTELM. Let me introduce our team. We are consist of 3 members. First, Martina Dwi Astuti, and then Muhammad Muhsin, and myself, Iqbal Satya Negara. In this occasion, we will present our research with the title as follows: The Effect of Trust and Commitment to the Grocery Supply Chain Performance, which mediating by information sharing. As we know, recently since 2012 and 2011, the location of small retail business in Asia has been increasingly threatened by their proximity to modern mini-market businesses. This is in line with conditions in Indonesia also, where the grocery stores that are classified as small businesses or informal business are less competitive with modern stores, which often hold discount programs on certain products, which have an impact on decreasing turnover of small or traditional retail stores. The results carried out by survey institution from Nielsen in 2015, which quoted by Wijaya 2017, as follows in figures 1. Thus, to build and develop traditional retail in order to have a long-term business with maximum profit, a good relationship with suppliers is needed. And the most important factor to consider in a supply chain network is to build a good performance with trust and commitment. Our variables are constructed by a concept as follows, which mean supply chain performance is the level of ability in the supply chain to fulfill all consumer needs, which we construct 4 indicators for the supply chain performance, consists of supply chain reliability, cost, supply chain responsiveness, and product quality. Moreover, our next variable is information sharing, which defined as supply chain management is important because transparently and accurately sharing information can accelerate supply chain process from suppliers to markets and to consumers. We define also 4 indicators for this variable, which consists of sharing of financial information, continuously exchange information that can help business partners, and information sharing about products. Next, variable about trust. We construct variable trust, and we try to make a conclusion of the division of this variable, which is trust is defined as a relationship between individuals and organizations, and it changes from time to time, influenced by the behavior of individual partners. And there are 4 indicators as follows, which consists of responsibility, honest, open communication, and supplier concern. And the last variable is commitment, which explains that a strong growing commitment will have an impact on increasing supply chain performance, which has 4 indicators also. First is coordination, and second is normative, the third affective, and the fourth is confidence. Our research method are started with interviews and questionnaires, and also the data technique, we use primary data through interviews and questionnaires. And within all SRC grocery stores in Cikupa, as an object, we are taking sample with probability sampling approach with saturated sample type in data collection. And all of the respondents, the total is 61 respondents, which represent the owners and managers of SRC grocery stores in Cikupa District, Tangerang Regency. And the last data analysis technique, we use PLS, which several steps consists of outer model, inner model, and the last is hypothesis test. In the part of validity test, we find that uh, 0.5, so that it can be said to have met the indicators as follows. And the part of reliability test, we did this reliability test and composite reliability and Chromebus alpha all constructs having values above 0.7 and 0.6 were still accepted, so there were no reliability problems in the model form. And in the next test, we conduct inner model test, which means the value of R square on the dependent variable of information sharing, we get 0.355 or 75.5%. It means more than 10%. The supply chain performance variable is 0.472 or 49.2%, or is above 10%. It means that the variables of information sharing and supply chain performance have met the requirements and deserve to be analyzed further. In the hypothesis test, the result are, there are 7 hypotheses we get test. And the result is first, trust does not affect supply chain performance. The second, commitment to supply chain performance has a positive and significant effect. Third, trust does not affect information sharing. The fourth, commitment and information sharing has a positive and significant effect. The fifth, information sharing on supply chain performance has a positive and significant effect. The sixth, trust in supply chain performance cannot be mediated by information sharing. And seventh, commitment to supply chain performance can be mediated by information sharing. Therefore, we have conclusions, several conclusions and suggestions. There are as follows. Good supply chain performance is needed in the process of continuing the transformation of raw goods from the initial stage to the final product related to the flow of goods, information, and funds from suppliers to final consumers. And also effort to improve supply chain performance need to be supported by trust between supply chain parties, and commitment between supply chains needs to be supported by the application of information sharing to support supply chain performance. Moreover, higher trust among supply chain members cannot lead to better supply chain performance. Higher trust also cannot encourage better information sharing. A stronger commitment also can lead to better supply chain performance. Strong commitment can also encourage better information sharing. Better information sharing between supply chain parties can lead to better supply chain performance. Therefore, indirect effects through information sharing are not able to mediate the effect of trust on supply chain performance. And also the indirect effect through information sharing is able to mediate by lowering the level of influence of commitment on supply chain performance compared to the direct effect of increasing the commitment relationship on supply chain performance. And the last, we have 4 suggestions. First, on the part of the supplier of the SRG chain of stores in the supply process, in order to understand the importance of building trust and commitment among all members of supply chains. Second, it needs to be preceded by a planned, intense, and sustainable effort by all members of the supply chain by building two-way communication between partners in order to grow and create trust and commitment together. Third, the important role of management is to maintain trust, commitment, and information sharing in the supply chain system. And the last, or the fourth, increasing the company's reliability in meeting customer demands in order to reduce operational costs and better product delivery performance in order to improve supply chain performance. That's all. Thank you from us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.